Have you ever wondered why you're smart enough to earn money, yet no one ever taught you the financial literacy needed to keep it? Most adults carry a quiet frustration. They work hard, they're responsible, but their financial life still feels fragile. Not because they lack discipline, but because the essential money skills and personal finance basics were never explained. You were expected to navigate spending, debt, and long-term decisions without real financial education. Today that changes. Today you begin learning the money principles every adult deserves. Years ago, a woman named Elena sat at her kitchen table surrounded by unopened bills. She wasn't careless. She wasn't irresponsible. She worked hard, showed up on time, and did everything adulthood required, yet her money never reflected her effort. One evening, overwhelmed, she whispered, "I'm doing everything they told me to do, so why does it still feel like I'm missing something?" Her older brother looked at her and said, "Because no one ever taught us the financial literacy or money management skills any adult actually needs." That truth hit harder than any overdue notice. Elena wasn't failing, she was uninformed. And once she gained real financial knowledge, her life began to shift in ways she never imagined. Before we dive into the first principle, if you want practical financial guidance that helps you build real financial clarity and confidence, take a moment to subscribe. Now let's dive in. Most adults move through life with a quiet tension around money, not because they're careless, but because they were never shown how the financial system actually works. We learn to earn, we learn to spend, but we're rarely taught the personal finance basics or money skills that create long-term stability. And without that foundation, even a good income can feel fragile. Ask yourself this: has anyone ever explained the structure behind a healthy financial life in a way that finally made sense? For most people, the answer is no. So they rely on habits shaped by confusion rather than financial clarity. The truth is that money becomes manageable only when you understand its purpose. And the first shift is seeing income not as stress, but as strategy, the starting point of real financial planning and the doorway to meaningful wealth building over time. Income becomes meaningful only when you understand how it moves through your life. Most adults treat income like a simple inflow, but it's actually a tool shaping every financial decision that follows. When income feels like a reaction instead of a plan, overspending becomes almost automatic. The shift happens when you divide income into roles: stability, growth, and flexibility. Stability covers today, growth builds tomorrow, and flexibility protects you from life's surprises. This kind of structure is the heart of strong financial planning and the foundation of real money management. It turns money from something you chase into something you direct. And here's the irony: people don't struggle from lack of discipline. They struggle from lack of structure. And once income finally has a purpose, it becomes much easier to look at the other side of your financial life, the part that drains it. That brings us to expenses. Expenses are the part of your financial life that often feels automatic, but nothing reshapes your stability faster than learning how they actually behave. Most people don't overspend because they're irresponsible. They overspend because expenses grow quietly in the background until they feel normal. And once normal becomes expensive, it's difficult to reverse. The real work begins when you stop seeing expenses as a list of bills and start seeing them as patterns that either support your goals or slowly weaken them. This is where awareness becomes power. Tracking your spending isn't just a task. It's the beginning of real financial literacy and one of the most overlooked money principles in adulthood. When you examine your spending for the first time, you don't just see numbers, you see habits, impulses, and blind spots. And once those patterns become visible, the next question naturally appears: how do you bring them back under control? Bringing expenses back under control isn't about restriction, it's about alignment. When your spending reflects your values, it feels intentional rather than limiting. The challenge is that most adults never pause long enough to examine where their money actually goes. Subscriptions renew quietly, small purchases pile up, and emotional spending fills the gaps left by stress or fatigue. This is why budgeting feels heavy, because it's treated like punishment instead of clarity. But budgeting is simply a way of telling your money where to go before life decides for you. And here's a question worth asking. What would your financial life look like if every dollar had a clear job? This is the moment when financial habits begin to shift and financial clarity becomes possible. Once you create that structure, something changes. And that shift leads naturally to the other half of financial literacy, understanding assets. Assets are the part of your financial life that quietly builds strength in the background. While expenses pull money away from you, assets are the forces that push money back toward you. Most adults think of assets as something only wealthy people own, but the truth is that an asset is anything that grows, supports, or stabilizes your financial life over time. Savings, investments, retirement accounts, and skill development, these are the building blocks that create momentum. They're the foundation of wealth building and a core part of adult financial skills no one explained. The moment you shift from asking, "How do I keep up?" to "How do I build up?" your relationship with money changes, because assets aren't about getting rich. They're about getting stable and creating long-term investing habits that support your goals. And once you understand how assets grow, the next logical question becomes, how do you protect them from the pressures working against you? Liabilities are the weight that slows down your financial progress, not because they're always bad, but because they demand repayment with interest. Some liabilities, like mortgages or student loans, can create opportunity when managed well. Others, especially high-interest debt, quietly drain your momentum. The danger is that liabilities often grow in moments of stress or uncertainty, becoming a cycle that feels hard to escape. And when your assets are working in one direction and your liabilities are pulling in the other, it creates the constant pressure so many adults feel. That's why understanding liabilities isn't about fear. It's about clarity and the kind of financial education most people never received. When you can see what pulls you backward, you're finally able to move forward intentionally. And once you have this awareness, the next step is organizing your entire financial picture so your money management becomes simpler and more aligned with your goals. If you want a simple, grounded way to organize your income, track your assets, understand your liabilities, and finally see your financial life with calm and honesty, we're building the Trip to Wealth Command Center. You can join the early access list below if you want to be one of the first to try it. Once your financial life is organized, something subtle but powerful begins to change. You stop reacting and start directing. This shift creates space for consistency, which is the real engine of long-term stability. Consistency isn't dramatic. It's not exciting. It's the quiet habit of showing up for your future even when no one is watching. It's choosing contributions over impulses, clarity over avoidance, and structure over hope. Most adults underestimate how transformative small, repeated actions can be because they imagine progress is supposed to feel big, but financial progress often feels invisible before it becomes undeniable. When your decisions begin aligning with your goals, your future stops feeling random and starts feeling intentional. This is the heart of strong financial habits and the beginning of true wealth building. And once consistency becomes part of your identity, the next question naturally arises. How do you turn all of this understanding into a system you can sustain every single year and support real financial freedom over time? When you step back and look at everything you've learned, a larger pattern begins to emerge. Money stops feeling like a collection of scattered tasks and starts looking like a system, one you can finally understand, manage, and improve. Every part of your financial life connects to the others. Income gives you fuel, expenses reveal your habits, assets build your stability, and liabilities show you where you're losing momentum. When these pieces work together, they create the foundation for real financial planning and the kind of financial clarity most adults were never taught. But now comes the most important part: turning knowledge into a lifestyle. True financial literacy isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's choosing a direction and showing up for it consistently, even on the days when progress feels slow. And here's the question worth holding on to. What could your life look like a year from now if you applied these money principles with intention? Because financial literacy is not a lesson, it's a transformation. It's the shift from guessing to understanding, from pressure to clarity, from reacting to leading. When you build your system around financial habits instead of impulses, your future becomes something you shape, not something you fear. This is where financial adulthood begins, not with complexity, but with simple habits repeated with confidence and purpose on the path toward long-term investing and lasting financial freedom. When you look at the full picture, financial literacy stops being a collection of scattered ideas and becomes a clear, structured path. You learn that income isn't just money coming in, it's the foundation that shapes every decision ahead and the starting point of real financial planning. You explored expenses not as restrictions, but as patterns that reveal what's truly driving your financial habits. You saw how assets quietly build stability and long-term investing momentum, and how liabilities slow your progress unless you manage them with intention and clarity. Through all of this, one truth became unmistakable. Clarity creates confidence. When your financial life is organized, when every dollar has a purpose, when money principles finally make sense, the stress you've carried for years begins to loosen. But none of this matters unless you apply it. The transformation begins when consistency replaces confusion, when small habits replace guesswork, and when structure replaces survival mode. Personal finance basics aren't about knowing everything. They're about understanding enough to move forward with strength, direction, and the confidence required for real wealth building. You now have the framework. Your next step is to live it. As we close today, remember this: financial clarity isn't built in a single moment. It grows through quiet, consistent decisions that slowly reshape the way your life feels. If this video gave you a new perspective, take a second to like it, share it, and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for yourself. Surrounding your life with grounded financial education is one of the simplest ways to stay aligned with the future you want. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice. Always research carefully and speak with financial professionals before making decisions, especially when investing or managing risk. If this video resonated, I invite you to watch the next video. Your journey toward financial clarity and financial freedom continues with the next step you take. Until next time, stay consistent, stay patient, and stay winning. See you in the next one, Money Magician.